Welcome back to the Sovereign Ratio. Render token. Is it going to be a grand slam for crypto in the metaverse, or is it just going to kind of be a pop fly? If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and leave me a comment below. As always, let's start out with some tokenomics on it. Render's currently sitting at rank 61 on CoinMarketCap with a market cap of just under $700 million. The circulating supply of Render is 369 million tokens with a total supply of 530 million tokens and a max supply of 536 million tokens. So almost the entire max supply of Render has been unlocked, which is good. The fully diluted market cap is sitting at $1 billion, which is not too bad. I've seen better, I've seen worse. It's definitely not a Gala Games where the majority of the fully diluted market cap is not actually relevant to the market cap whatsoever. But Gala is still a promising project, so I'm not sure that we can put all of our eggs in one basket on the fully diluted market cap. But this one does look decent. It's, I would say, average. Render can be acquired on Binance, Coinbase, KuCoin, not for US customers anymore, Kraken, which is for US customers, Uniswap, Bitstamp, Bitthumb, Gemini, which is another US exchange, Bybit, Huobi, Gate.io, and it just goes on from there. It's a pretty common token. It is available in many different places with a very good liquidity score. Okay, so this is going to be one of the most interesting projects that we cover on this channel because what it does in the Web3 space and the metaverse is very unique in my opinion. When you think of Render, think of a GPU processor like AMD or NVIDIA, like a really high-end Radeon or GTX or whatever. Essentially, the lofty goal of Render is to provide nearly unlimited real-time rendering and graphics processing for the metaverse and Web3. With that, I will read what Render states on their website. The Render Network is the first decentralized GPU rendering platform, empowering artists to scale GPU rendering work on demand to high-performance GPU nodes around the world. Through a blockchain marketplace for idle GPU compute, the network provides artists the ability to scale next-generation rendering work at fractions of the cost and at orders of magnitude increases in speed when compared to a centralized GPU cloud. It was launched in 2017, and it's built to provide a platform for a wide array of computation tasks, from rendering to artificial intelligence, which is also why Render has run up with the other AI tokens that we've seen lately. Render claims to be very network scalable and very efficient with its infrastructure, a better use of GPU power, and also allows for digital right management easily on the blockchain. So summary, video game studios, artists, please come and use our services at Render because we will make your life easier and make things more scalable for your Web3 solution. So taking a quick look at crypto Twitter, the Render Network has 108.7 thousand followers, which is significantly less than some of the other projects that we've looked on. But also you have to take into consideration that the Render Network isn't actually a game. It helps games thrive in Web3. It's not the game itself. And people are generally attached and drawn to the finished product rather than the utility behind it. And that's another reason why I believe so strongly in utility tokens, because I take a generally contrarian viewpoint at the market. I generally look for things that other people aren't looking at that provide a real use case, such like we talked about, Filecoin, Chainlink, the really boring tokens that actually power everything that you're seeing as a finished product. So as I scroll through, I do see the Render Network providing regular updates to its community. However, another reason that I think there's only 108,000 followers here is because a lot of it's technical. When you look at this particular post here on July 14th, this week, antbit.io presented RNP004 to the network community. Nobody knows what that means, me included. It's a distributed cloud compute aggregator specializing in AI/ML tasks. I know what AI is, I don't know what ML is, so for me as an investor, this is something that's a little bit beyond my knowledge base. I wouldn't mind learning about it, but what I'm presenting to you as the community right now is simply why you should consider investing in this, not necessarily the details and how it's coded and what it does and all of these acronyms that most people have no idea what they are. The point of looking at Twitter, though, is to simply bring awareness to this project is making regular posts. They're keeping their community updated of what they're doing, development updates, use cases, and that's important to me. A token that doesn't put effort into keeping its community updated is not necessarily something that I want to be interested in, because why would I put money in something that people have no interest in keeping me updated on what they're doing? So I think they're doing a good job here of kind of keeping the community engaged. All right, so let's look at some render TA here. Just from a very broad view, I want to note something that happened in the last bull cycle because this is a relatively new token. You can see there's a candle here on the weekly chart from November 1st. And then from that point, simply 2 weeks later to November 15th, the following move occurred on this token. 756%. That's basically a 7.5x in the course of 14 days. Massive, massive return, right? Granted, we were in the middle of a bull run, but it is what it is. Since then, Render has retraced all the way back down to the bottom of where we are currently. The low point was at 28 cents. It's retraced 96.75%. We're currently sitting at a valuation of $1.85 because this token has ran really well along with AI and along with Metaverse. So as we've been talking about for a couple of weeks on this channel now, ETH BTC kind of looks like it wants to fall over a cliff, but the recent news with XRP has ignited some spark in the altcoins, so I'm not sure that we're going to get that 30 to 40% correction that we've been talking about on this channel. But if we were to get that from current valuations, that's going to put Render between $1.29 and $1.10, providing it follows the same trend as a 30 to 40% move on total 3. However, with the current bullishness in the alt market, it's very hard to determine what's going to happen. There's obviously that scenario, but from a very long-term scenario, if Render were to keep running up, there's a pretty clear trend line right here, right? So if we kind of draw that right at there, you could see that the next run up would probably be in the area of like $3.50, which is pretty well in confluence with this. You could kind of look at this as the point where it would probably stop at $3. It could run up to $3.50, but this $3 area looks pretty enticing to me as far as a correction point for Render. So if Render were to keep running, I could definitely see it hitting $3. But for the long-term view, let's look. These videos are meant to talk about the next cycle, right? So if we're going to look at the next cycle, we're just going to simply take our reverse fib from the top all the way down to the bottom. Previous all-time high at 878. That is a fantastic return, not a massive return, but that's a fantastic return of roughly 3 to 4x. However, this token is a new token. It's a Metaverse token. It renders the Metaverse, and there's a lot of people that talk about it, and there's a lot of people that believe in it. And there's a lot of people, honestly, that just shill it. And that sometimes is enough to bring people into the market. So if we were to look at this, I would honestly look at the 2618 on this one. I normally would only go to the 1618. On this one, I would extend that up to the 2618, sitting at $22.54. Probably just call that $20 because people like big even numbers. From current valuations up to $20, this is just a theoretical idea. This isn't financial advice. That would be an 11x, which again is very reasonable in a bull market. So that's kind of what I would be looking at. This could also be one of those coins that pulls the Solana and does like a 60, 70x or whatever it was, you know. There are huge targets up here on the Fibonacci of like 3618 at $31, the 4236 at $36, and it just goes on up from there. This is one of the tokens where I would feel comfortable setting a higher valuation for a target in the next bull run, simply because of the narrative that it has behind it. But erasing all of that bullishness, I want to be very clear and direct that this is a token that could dump to zero. And these things are very risky. A lot of tokens do move up big in the bull market, but generally they're newer tokens that haven't had a bull market before, like this one has. Not to say this one couldn't have one more bull market, and it's not to say that this one couldn't be a top 20 project at some point. I have no idea. But what I do know is that investing a lot of money into something like this is generally not a great idea, even if it takes off and does 100x. Be happy with your 100x, even if you didn't put $10,000 in it for that 100x. But now that I've delivered kind of a realistic perspective, I also want to note something again that's a little bit bullish. It is currently holding its bull market support band. Bull market support band sitting here at $1.84, and Render just bounced off of that. You know, it could break below that and test it as resistance, but right now it's holding the bull market support band. And to me, that's a very good sign. I'm going to put on the silver cross band just so I can see the EMA 9. The EMA 9 is sitting at $1.99, and generally price likes to follow the EMA 9. So we can see what happens in that $2 area. That's going to be a pretty pivotal level for the token. But again, when I say all of this, I'm personally not invested in any of these altcoins. I'm waiting for the halving. Before I do that, currently I have Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. And I'm okay with losing some of those major returns on things like, you know, Polygon or whatever's going to run next. But for now, I'm more comfortable in Bitcoin. This thing could do a 2 or 3x, but eventually Bitcoin's going to correct, and eventually this thing's going to correct more. And around the halving, in my opinion, not financial advice, is still the best place to buy altcoins. That's between March and May of 2024. Generally around the halving, there's a big move down of some sort, and I would rather be prepared for that than to not be prepared for that. So on a shorter term time frame, however, if you're looking at this as just something to play in the short term, I'm going to go ahead and throw you a bone on this one. So this chart is very much following what Ethereum tends to do. If you look at the Ethereum chart, you can see some support and resistance levels that are very parallel to each other. A lot of tokens don't do this, but Ethereum does this all the time. You could basically make one trend line and copy and paste it and find 4 different areas where it fits into the chart. And that's exactly what I did here. You know, technically, I'm just going to paste another one. This is completely random to see if it fits. Like using this peak right here, you can see that it does kind of fit because it's support here, it's resistance here, it's resistance here a little bit, it's resistance here, it's support here, and it's resistance here. These things just fit in like this. Ethereum has really notorious for doing this, and Render looks like it's doing it too. So the reason I point this out is because Render is coming down to this last one that I have drawn here, and it could be a big bounce area, specifically because it is at the bull market support band as well. But now finally bringing up some indicators, we're still in the daily chart here. You can see that my stochastic ultimate is pointed to the downside with the K moving pretty aggressively down. RSI is just rather insignificant at the point. The BBWP is currently at 10.71% and has crossed up its average indicator there, which I need to see a little bit more movement on the BBWP, but generally when the BBWP goes up and crosses that around the 10% area, does a complete reset and then crosses up, it follows the direction of the stochastic. So to me, this looks like Render wants to correct. It looks like it's got a move down coming, but let's go to the weekly chart and see a little longer term. Again, the BBWP has not completely reset. RSI is just hanging around the middle. It's insignificant. However, there is divergence. You can see right here to right here, there's pretty significant divergence on the weekly chart. So this is definitely not a buy right now for me. I would be looking probably for support here at the $1.15 area, which we've already looked at just a few minutes ago. So that all kind of lines up. That $1.10 to $1.15 area is a big level of interest for me on this token. You can see even on the weekly chart, the ultimate stock RSI is pointing to the downside. It's looking like it wants to continue down. The K is crossing very aggressively down the D. It's got a ways to go. I think we're going to see some downward movement on this token in the short term, but it could also just catch a bid. You never know. So thanks for coming by to take a look at Render with me, and it's open GPU, distributed GPU on the blockchain. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and leave me a comment below. We'll see you in the next video, and safe trading.